Another state Democrats did really well in, Ohio. Ohio had two important issues on the ballot this time around: legalizing marijuana and putting abortion rights into the state constitution. Those are the two important things. Well, both passed by a lot. The Democrats were able to enshrine abortion rights into the Constitution with 57%, and then legalizing weed was able to pass with like 58%. Mm-hmm. So overwhelming margins. And this, again, just really throws down the Republican throat of, how are you going to respond to these abortion questions when you get asked?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Glenn Youngkin just tried. Glenn Youngkin tried to change it from ban to limit, from restriction to 15 weeks. And it didn't work. He still lost both houses of the legislature. Mm-hmm. So what is the new line? Well, CNN last night.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's all right.
No, I think you should go first.
So CNN last night, during the election, pulls Vivek Ramaswamy on TV to tell us what the great political maneuver needs to be. The political mastermind himself. He's asked, what does the pro-life movement need to do? And he does two things to this. He says he wants to put more financial responsibility on the fathers. He wants to, penalize fathers who leave their families, which that's something. Does that address abortion at all? Does that even, I feel like that didn't even talk about the notion of abortion, but that's fine. And then he says something else. He attacks referendums completely. Vivek Ramaswamy just comes out against the notions of referendums because he says that they're too easy to buy with money, as if it's easier to buy a referendum than it is for an individual politician to spend money and win somebody's vote.
Yeah, I don't get that at all.
He just came out completely against referendums.
I think it's much harder to buy a referendum, unless the idea is that every individual person is much easier to manipulate and influence than a single representative is.
Yeah,
which I disagree
I totally disagree with.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you can kind of fool somebody by getting them to vote for a candidate because they don't really know that much about the issues, but they see their ad on TV all the time. Mm-hmm. Well, if you're talking about a ballot measure that is literally just the issue in a sentence, vote up or down, right? I feel like that's where money happens. It's going to have less of an effect.
Yeah. How can you really cloud that at all?
Yeah.
It's very clear what you're thinking about, what you're voting on.
Right. So that's going on in Ohio, but there were some interesting exit polls too. In the exit polls, 72% of voters said they don't want Joe Biden to run again, and 63% of voters said they don't want Donald Trump to run again. We're walking into the weirdest presidential election.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that's very bad news for Biden.
Oh, bad news for Biden. And what makes this so bad is that this Ohio election was a +2 Biden demographic. In the exit polls of all the people who voted yesterday in Ohio, Joe Biden won those people by 2 points.
Wow.
And 72% of them still think he should have run.
Yeah. And of course, we've talked about before how we expect a lot of these people who say they don't want Biden to run will still vote for him.
I expect a good amount.
Won't vote for Trump.
Right.
So it's not completely indicative of what we would expect to see at the polls in 2024. But it isn't good for Biden.
It's not good that someone so unexciting is at the top of the ticket.
Sure.
That's not good. It's not good that he has no ability at the moment to draw people in. That can change. There's a year, right? Yeah. Year's a long time. Yeah. But Joe Biden's a known quantity.
Yeah, and I feel like the Democratic ticket is almost like they're starting to rely on abortion too much. And I'm worried that 2024 is going to be the time when it's just a little far removed from Roe v. Wade being overturned to still have the same kind of effect.
Yeah.
I also wonder if they could just manufacture a Republican who was pro-choice as well. Doesn't that seem like a perfect candidate?
Yes, it does. It seems like a perfect candidate, but they will never win a primary.
No.
Right? That's the Republicans' issue right now, is you can't win a primary being pro-choice. It's just not going to happen. Donald Trump is the most pro-choice guy we've ever gotten, and he was still the one to overturn Roe v. Wade.
Yeah. Well, you know who the closest thing right now is Nikki Haley.
It's Nikki Haley.
Yeah.
And she wipes the floor with Biden in all of these polls. In all these polls, it's like Trump leads by 5, Trump leads by 6 or whatever, Trump leads by 4, and then Nikki Haley up 8, 10, 12. Right? Nikki Haley's wiping the floor. But if Republicans could get off their ass and nominate Nikki Haley, Joe Biden would be dead in the water.
Yeah.
Totally.
Definitely.
I think he'd be screwed.
Yeah.